was it a commission work that you have been doing? This one?
Yes, yeah, this was with a commission with the STEAM, and I came here last year and stayed for 1 week for residency, and we developed this kind of, or just developed afterwards a bit, yeah.
Yeah, can you please tell a little bit more about the idea? How did it appear? And yeah, when did you decide that maybe it's cool to make commission work and come here for residency?
I was actually invited from, cause I'm from Slovakia originally, and we have a festival which is called Next Advanced Music Festival, and they have commission, or they have some cooperation with another partners, and they invited me for that festival, and they told me that, all right, but part of that is a residency in Amsterdam in the STEAM, and I was happy about it. Didn't know what's coming, because I was never actually working with any kind of spatial sound or some project like this. So I felt very honored. So then I traveled to Amsterdam, and last year, at the end of the year, I think some October or something could be, and I got a really good training from Fede, also with other guys who are performing today, and then then I got 1 week for spending time with all these black beauties and working on something. And for the first time it was very challenging for me, because I work in very different ways, so it was for me a new experience. But then I somehow got that, hopefully. And the most challenging thing was probably the way how I work usually is more organic, with a lot of samples and a lot of recordings, and to kind of place that also with Ableton and with everything into that setting was a new experience. So that we worked together on that. Fede helped me a lot with the technical stuff and with the sound design, and so without him it wouldn't be so immersive maybe. And then I traveled back to Berlin and worked on that. Then I performed the piece. I was supposed to perform the piece on Next Festival, but very shortly before my act broke my arm, so then didn't work out so much, and then we did it again, and I'm here.
It's interesting, because I wanted to ask about the, because it's written mostly everywhere that you're a destroyer of the obvious, and then it comes up with your hand.
Oh yeah.
But speaking about the destroying, how do you understand it, or how do you try to expand? And because by your performance now, it didn't look like you wanted to destroy anything. It was more about embracing. And what is destroying for you?
Interesting question. I didn't want to go so deep into this, but I have my own personal explanation of. It's very interesting that it happened, because when I was writing the concept about it and thinking about the concept, which I wanted to tell the story, which was the plan, to kind of deconstruct, decompose yourself and destroy your ego. And my idea was to build, as it is called, a bias loop. I wanted to kind of show that it's important to get out of the bias, which we have. We have plenty of biases, and a lot of times we just live in some sort of circle, in some loop, and sometimes it's really important to just step out of it. You use the wording breaking, and I was using it always at the beginning of describing that thing, that break the loop and kind of stop that circle and maybe turn it on the other side. And for that I really like the spatial possibility, because it's when you kind of set everything, you are in the control of that loop, and even though people are inside that circle, it's up to us to kind of break it. But then the hand broke, and I started to think like, okay, this is a lot of breaking stuff. And then also when I played in Bratislava later, the cello fell down and broke, and so it was like, and I stopped even thinking about breaking things. So on the other hand, it has a nice, or for me, the positive ending, or positive, I mean, embracing moment at the end, that the point is not just dying or ending something, because I was a bit afraid of that as well, because I used there some words as that we have to die. In that point of dying, of our ego has to die to start something new, to kind of get out of that loop, to reconnect again. And the point at the end is that we should kind of stop doing what's wrong or what's maybe old, what should die, and then start with a new embracing idea, with some sort of activism. We can apply it on our personal lives, but we can apply it on the planet. We can apply it on the society, on our families, on our relationships, on kind of everything, and to get out of our personal loops. So maybe it's also when today it was not so destructive, because maybe it's often depends on my mood and all this. There is a structure which I have. I realized it could be much longer than I expected, but I don't really follow it so much, and I follow more my feeling which I have. So I think all this material, all the story, it's going to be probably released somewhere, and there is going to be enough space for that. But always when I perform, I just go with some sort of inner feeling, and it seems like my feeling was more immersive than destructive. So yeah, probably like that.
Yeah, that's very cool to listen to the reflections on what's happening just here. Yeah, but I think I have just last question about this work, about the loops.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that it's going to be, I mean, loops seems kind of the same if it's a loop.
Yeah.
But do you think that this work can be presented in a different way, in another place, in another auditorium, depending on your mood, or can it be changed a lot in the future?
Oh, it's always different. It's just that's on one side it's never-ending loop, because the sounds which I'm using are short kind of cuts, or the short loops which are going. The way how I'm putting them together, the way how, for example, with the spatial sound, the way how they sound, how they are appearing, or which kind of, how much space they have, or how much, also the decision which kind of feeling is going to go up and down, that's up to me. And that's that control over my decisions. So that's also a bit metaphor about that even there are some never-ending loops, but it's up to us which kind of fader we are going to put up, and which kind of noise are we going to bring and maybe hide. So it's always going to be different. And also the cello part, or maybe I can just add another instrument, and that's also very happening in the moment, and it's very stressful at one point, but on the other point it's very actually healing, let's say, because if you are, I'm a very anxious control freak, so I'm putting myself into that situation when I don't have actually so much control, and I need to trust to myself and to others that we are gonna create it together. So, like that.